one of the top experts in the world on sales.
King of collaboration.
He's on the cutting edge, and what he does works.
Jim Padilla.
CEO of Gain the Edge.
He is the leader when it comes to sales and conversions.
A sales and business coach to some of the biggest names in the country.
Jim Padilla is known as the go-to guy for all things sales.
Welcome, everybody, back to another awesome episode of the Make More Sales podcast, where it's all about helping you make more sales without you having to become a sales expert, because who the hell wants to do all of that? So we want to talk today about really simplifying the process. Right. We've been in big discussion lately around positioning and visibility and getting you seen by the people that matter the most, getting seen by the people who need you. And we have more expertise to bring to you to help this conversation get elevated. And again, one of the biggest challenges that we face on a regular basis is that we make it so hard. We make it so much harder than it has to be. We make it more confusing, overwhelming, complex, and so much to the point that we just stop doing it. Right? Because it becomes a full-time job for us. And we start doing it in addition to our regular job. And then we wonder why we don't have any marketing success. And so today we want to figure out how to make the digital marketing game simpler, more effective, and more profitable. And I can't think of a better way to do that besides bringing on our friend and colleague here, Donna Botti, who is a partner and client with Gain the Edge now. And she is somebody who has the insane ability to take very complicated processes and strategies around marketing and make them very simple, easy to understand, easy to implement. And you all know I spent a lot of time talking to a lot of marketing people. So this is a perspective that comes with a tremendous amount of credibility. Donna Botti, say hello.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. I'm very excited about this conversation. And just want to really open this up with, just with some of the simple how about this? The simplest ways to overcomplicate the process around marketing. But before we do, why don't you take a quick minute and just talk about you? Who's Donna Botti and why are you relevant in this conversation?
No problem. So I own a small digital marketing agency in the Philadelphia area. And for years, we have been helping clients grow their business and giving their customers a better experience. And we have found through that time a framework that we find works really well to help people integrate what they're doing online with what they're doing in real life every day. You know, it's been a super challenging year this past year, right, for everyone, from the personal front to the business, the safety protocols, the restrictions on capacities. And if you've been doing business in person primarily before now, you've really had to figure out how to pivot. How do you communicate with your customers and stuff? So we're really finding that people need to change because consumers have changed.
Right.
You know, have you noticed how consumer expectations for how you do business online have increased the past year tremendously?
Right. And then, that requires that you show up at least a step above where they are, because even though the consumers aren't as informed, I think it's a misinformed information. They think they know more. So they just expect you to be able to check certain boxes because Google told them so, or some article they found told them what to do about asking.
I think it's more like our expectations as consumers of how convenient online would be and how we're going to do business have increased. And in some ways, I think consumers are dragging businesses kicking and screaming into this new age, right? Because think about your own behavior. If you want to go do takeout or something, you want to be able to go online. You want to know it's the latest menu. You want the latest hours. You want to be able to order online. You want it to be super convenient. And it's required a lot of adjustment on the perspective of business. And how do you do that? So the key is you have to figure out how to do it at the same time as you're doing your regular business. You
Right.
are building relationships online, just like you would build them in person.
I want to circle back to that because that's so important and it absolutely needs to be unpacked. Um, what is the challenge that most entrepreneurs are facing right now in general in the marketing space, being online, whether it's thinking it's going to be easier than it is, thinking it's going to take, it should happen faster and cheaper than they expect, or that is way too complicated or too many ideas. What are the real problems that people are experiencing at the moment?
Well, I think, I touched on a little bit with this change that's happened. It's really been a sea change. And how do people keep up, right? Because, you have to keep up with your own industry. You're going to keep up with the marketing as well. It's difficult to keep up with everything. And it's easy to feel overwhelmed and that you don't have enough time. And again, if you think you're going to add on your marketing at the end of the day, after you've done everything else, no, you're never going to have enough time. You really need one good strategy and plan that integrates and helps you in your processes. One of the things we say is that we make the web work for you. And what that means is your online presence shouldn't be something else on your to-do list. It should be something that helps you get your business done. It helps you grow your business, and it helps you give your customers a better experience.
Yeah. Cause I always have this visualization, partly because I think I was this person for a long time. You spend, 8 hours a day, if you're lucky, maybe more like 10 or 12, working on your business. And then you spend all evening till midnight working on marketing, social media, posting, trying to figure out Facebook ads, trying to create your webinar, all this stuff. So you end up like with 2 different jobs. And that's really what you're talking about, right? It shouldn't be something separate. It should be woven in so that you're actually in the process of doing your business, you're marketing your business.
Right. People often say to me, oh, I don't think I have any content to put out there, this and that. And it's kind of like, well, if you and I were having a sales conversation, you would never stop in the middle of it and say, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I don't have any content, right?
Right.
You know exactly what it is that you are offering. You just need to figure out a way to get that out online to more than one person than just the one-on-one situation.
Yeah. So just in terms of tangibility, like what does it look like? What are the things that they're actually doing that are making it harder and wrong? What are some examples?
Well, I think one thing that people do is they tend to treat all the different platforms and ways of doing things digitally as silos. What am I going to put in my email newsletter? What's going to go on my website? Oh, wait, we have to post something on Facebook today. What should it be? Right. And when you treat them all as separate like that, it makes it much more complicated, and it makes it harder to measure the results that you have. So that's a big one that we see all the time. Another thing we see is, people complain, well, I'm not getting any results. I hired my cousin's daughter's boyfriend to do our social media because they were supposed to be good at it. And, you're hiring for execution, but you don't have a strategy. And, that is something that is key, that planning process and having a strategy. And I guess if there's one thing that's super important that people miss, it's that consistency builds traction. And you can't have consistency if you don't have a good plan.
Consistency builds traction. Yeah. Again, just super simple concept. We have an outsourced client we're working with right now, and they've hired 5 different teams for an event that we have coming up. And, it's an outbound dialing team. It's a social media posting team, a Facebook traffic team, and then, of course, us. And I'm trying to coordinate all those teams together so that we can all get in the same room. Like, we need to be meeting together. Like, guys, we need to know what everybody's doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, why they're doing it. Otherwise, everybody's just going to be working really, really hard and thinking they're getting a result, but they could all be different results that may not tie together.
Right, that's true. And if you take that to the digital channels and stuff, it's perfectly fine if someone sees something in a blog you wrote or in a podcast you're doing and sees the same message on Facebook or in an email newsletter. It's repetition that builds familiarity as well. People need to remember who you are, and it takes a while to recognize that.
Yeah, I always say that which gets repeated gets remembered, and that which gets remembered gets believed. And too many times we think, oh, I said that 3 Thursdays ago, so I can't say it again. It's like they probably didn't even read that email. Don't assume they all saw it or even understood it.
Right. Yeah, understanding what content to do and being consistent about it. But, you want to do content that's going to help you. If, you're in the process of trying to sell a client on something and there's something that you need to tell them all the time, well, gee, if you had a great blog post with that resource in it, now you've got something to point someone to immediately. It saves you time at the same time as it's something that people who don't know you can find because they have that same question.
Right. So underneath that, I mean, it's obvious. It can be a confusing message, can be an inconsistent message. What is that really costing people?
You're spinning your wheels. You're not growing the business the way that you can, or you're not delivering the experience that the consumers want today.
Yeah, which at the end of the day means they're going to buy from somebody else. Or they may, because they're not sure what exactly they're getting from you, or they just aren't finding you at all.
Right. I mean, I have a call with a potential client coming up, and, they wanted me to take a look at their website and stuff. And I'm like, well, this sounds really, really cool, but I have no idea what you do. And, sometimes you want to really think about it from the point of view of someone who doesn't know you. What is your message? Are you speaking to them? Is it clear? Because we are so quick to hit the back button and go somewhere else, right? We've all become researchers. Whenever we have a problem, we want to go to Google, we want to find something. We're listening to what other people say. We're soliciting their opinions. And, you want to be the person that's found during that research time, because people don't pick up the phone today like they did. Years ago, it was don't put any prices on, don't tell them too much, call to get the appointment. It doesn't really work so well anymore because, like I say, people want to hit the back button and go somewhere else where they find the answer they're looking for.
Right. So what are a couple of key tips to be able to capture that attention? Because that is a short attention span. It seems like it's getting shorter all the time. So what do you recommend that people are doing from a strategy perspective so that they can capture people's attention right away without being weird?
Well, I mean, I think that the key thing is that you have to really hone in and identify who you're talking to. And your messaging needs to be in alignment with their problems and your product and service. If they're all out of sync, one of the wheels is going to fall off there, right? So it's important to start with looking at that and being very thoughtful and strategic about it, right? Not everybody's your customer. It's a basic 101, right? So you may do things that are not what you want to attract. That doesn't mean you have to advertise that you do those. You'll get those jobs anyway, right? So, starting with a lot of like basic fundamental things makes the rest of what you have to do easy because you've defined that part up front.
For sure. What is, I know right now, biggest challenge for people, or one of them seems to be which social media platform to use. How do you answer those kind of questions?
You don't have to chase every shiny thing, right? It goes back to that. You need one strategy. I'm also a big believer in that you need to make your website the center of your strategy because you own it. You don't want to build your entire plan on rented land. You're going to use that rented land, the social media platforms, to get outreach beyond what you're doing. But, have you ever tried to find something that was posted on Facebook like 2 weeks ago? Has your message changed in 2 weeks, though? And some of the core materials. So, making sure that you can pivot to whatever platform is hot today, if that's your audience. So that's the important thing. Like, where's your clients? What platforms are they using? I had someone ask me the other day, do you think I should be on Clubhouse? And Clubhouse is, oh, that's great, but it's early adopters who are on Clubhouse. If your audience just figured out Facebook yesterday, they don't even know what Clubhouse is today. So should you be, spinning and going all over there right now? Not necessarily, but again, have that core message, have your website be the center, and try to focus on own traffic, which is the people that you can contact whenever you want. That's your customer and prospect list.
So I'm going to ask you to repeat that, because what you said about a minute and a half ago and that last statement, don't build on rented land. Dumb that down to a third grader level. What does that mean for people?
Well, if you are, let's say you've built your entire presence on Facebook. I've seen a lot of, small businesses say, I don't need a website. I don't have to do it. Well, a few years ago, if you recall, Facebook was very, very adamant. Go get likes, like us on, make sure you advertise. Everyone will see your posts, this and that. Now, if you do that today, in terms of making a post, what's the first thing Facebook says? Would you like to boost that? They're an advertising platform. You don't see any more people say, oh, like us on Facebook.
Right.
Now, they're even doing away with likes for pages. It's going to be converted into follow us on Facebook. But it doesn't mean that the people who like your page or follow your page are going to see what you post unless you boost it. A small subset will. So the point being, if you built your whole strategy on that, they come along, they control who sees what, they change the rules, they shut down your page for whatever reason, you don't have any recourse.
Yeah. And then essentially you don't even have a business at that point.
Right. Which is why it's so important to own your list, right? I'm sure you've heard that expression, the money is in the list. People still prefer email from businesses. Yeah.
Very important stuff, guys. Really got to pay attention to that, because it's Facebook and all other platforms, and they're coming out faster than imaginable right now. And like Clubhouse, it's easy to jump on the latest, greatest thing. And just, many people got caught up in Parler, and then through things that had nothing to do with them, the whole thing was ripped out from underneath them. So you could have built up thousands of followers on Parler, and then bam, they were no longer in existence for you. So you got to build on something you own. Really, really important.
Right. And, that's the whole thing. You take your paid traffic, this advertising works, right? If you're smart about it, and, or your earned traffic, which is your search engine traffic or the social media that you're doing, you want to convert that to own traffic. And those are people you can contact whenever you want.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit about your framework. We've discussed it, working with you, but you have a very solid, very simple, easy to follow framework that can help people solve these problems we're talking about.
Right. And with the framework, and this is what we kind of take customers through when they come on board with us, it's making sure you have that foundational stuff down, that what your message is, who you're targeting, what your product and services that you actually want more of. Right. Not everything you do, just, one of the things that often is a light bulb for people when we talk to them is on LinkedIn is not your resume.
Right.
Okay. You are allowed to edit to show what it is that you're trying to market right now. Right. So don't make stuff up, but that job that is not relevant to what you're doing today, leave it off. So going through and understanding who you're talking to, looking at the right platforms that speak to those people, coming up with a content map or understanding what strategic content you need to do, what could be repeatable content, how often you could do it, because it's really important that you set up something that's going to be maintainable for you to do as well. I can have the greatest intention saying, I'm going to write a blog post every day. And then I do it for 4 days. And then I got busy and didn't do it for 4 months. You were better off writing those 4 and scheduling them to be out for the next 4 months, right? So again, it's a process that refines over time, but you want to get a calendar together, and you need to understand how to measure your results. And then how are you getting repeat and referral business? And the cycle just continues. But it's a process of planning and understanding and getting the foundations right And that's how the framework works.
Got it. So, in trying to build a framework, is it operating from a framework that exists, or if I'm trying to figure out my own, what do I need to put in it? And does that even make sense to try to build your own framework around this if you're not a marketing expert?
Well, what we do is we call it our framework, but it's really just a step-by-step plan that you can follow, fill in the blanks for your business and get it integrated into what you're doing every day and use it.
And we have a marketing team in our company, and we spend a lot of time, effort, and energy and resources getting all of this dialed in. I wouldn't wish this on anybody on their own to try to figure out and solve this, unless this is what you do, unless you are a marketing expert as your primary. Why would you spend all your time trying to master it instead of follow an existing proven framework, simple process that already works?
Right. I use the accountant analogy sometimes. I guess in theory, when I started my business, I could figure out what are the tax returns I need to do, what should be my chart of account, how should I set it up? But no, I hired an accountant to do that because I didn't have the time to do that. I'm busy doing something else. And so, getting assistance in that area is a good place to start.
Yeah. And how can he get assistance from you? What's the best way to be able to make that happen? I believe you have something coming up pretty soon that will help people get very quick access to a system that you can help them implement.
Yeah, we do have an event coming up. It's called Digital Marketing Live. And because we've, seen so many people who have to make this pivot in the past year, and we have this process that we know works that we're taking our one-on-one clients through, this is a 3-day virtual event, but it is going to be live and interactive where we take you through the framework and you leave with your plan. So you will actually have time to work on your business as well as learning the aspects of what's important, what you can focus on, what you don't need to focus on, right? Because there's so many things out there that aren't necessarily relevant if you don't have a lot of the foundational things in place.
Excellent. We got the link in the Facebook group there right now. So if you see it, take action on that. Get going, get signed up, get registered. And here's the deal, guys. Unless you already have a provable winning plan already mapped out, already in place, and taking action on it, then you have no excuse not to get this done, because this is going to change the game for you. Instead of you trying to figure it out, hoping to figure it out, or wondering if you're ever going to take action on it, you just start moving in that direction right now, and it takes all of the guesswork out of it. You literally just put it to action and see it happen. And you have 3 days with the team in place, right? With Donna right here and her team to be able to help you over the course of 3 days so that you can get direct feedback and insight, so you can walk away with an executable plan to be able to put in place and start changing the game for your marketing going forward. I can't think of a better way to really get 2021 on track so that you can turn it into a powerful win for you.
I think it's a great time for that right now. As things are starting to open up, people are starting to see a little bit past where we've been and where do we need to go. Some things are not going back the way they were. So that digital presence and integrating what you do online and offline is super important. And I think taking that time to really focus on what is your plan and getting it done pays off. As I mentioned, this is the process we take our clients through when we first, start working with them. And sometimes it takes 2 months, 3 months to get through this thing because it's an hour here and an hour there. And you can't really start getting the results until you have the plan. So, that's an opportunity when we work one-on-one that, people spend thousands and thousands of dollars for. We're going to try and, get this through in the group in the 3 days where we concentrate the time for you. And our early bird pricing ends this weekend.
Yeah, there you go. And I was just talking with Donna before we went live on this, and that's really the biggest piece, right? I mean, most of her business, you guys know us. We were the same way for a long time. Most people hired us to do all of their sales. And those were the only kind of clients we had for a very long time until this last year, where we've taken all of those skills that we've put together and that we've done on a one-on-one, done for you, outsourced, very expensive basis. And now we're laying down the framework and walking you down the path so you can do it yourself. That's what's happening at this event. She's taking all these high level skill set that she's done for people at a one-on-one basis on a done for you. And now over the course of 3 days, you're gonna be able to walk this through, getting it done so that you can now have a plan to follow that's built by an expert at a very high level, but at a very simple process and a path and a blueprint in front of you to be able to execute on.
Yeah, it's so important that we want you to build a process that's one, it's going to work, but it's going to be maintainable for you as well. Because again, you don't want to put something on the shelf. Oh, that sounds great, but we don't have the time to do it, right? So what are the things that you need to do to make you have that time that's going to ultimately save you time?
Awesome. So what about the person who's thinking right now, just, it's not that important. I can deal with it later. I'll deal with it next year. I'm just trying to keep my business afloat. What would you say to that person?
Telling you that the future is banging down your door right now. It is, we went through this with a number of clients last year when people had to pivot all of a sudden to, I got to do curbside pickup. I have to have appointments online. I've got remote teams to be working and stuff. And these are things we have been talking with people about for months and months. And it was always like, you know what, we're going to get to that. We're busy right now. We'll do that in the future. Well, the future is right now. And if you don't make that pivot, you're going to be left behind.
That's very, very simple and true. You're all probably starting to feel it already, right? Before 2020, I'll be perfectly honest, I already thought the whole world was online. And then once 2020 happened, I realized everybody came online. And now everybody's there, and you have to stand out in a sea of craziness so that all these zero attention span people who are trying to find your service can actually find you and know what to do when they do find you and make that
right.
happen.
And it's not just a matter of being, how are they going to find me with all of this attention? It's that the consumer expectations have shifted so much that if you're not online, even if I know you and I can't complete the business I want to or find the information out from you, I'm going to go somewhere else and find it. Back in the before times, I used to talk about the example of Uber, right? Have you used an Uber before?
Right.
Right. Couldn't the cab companies have done that? Why did people use Uber? Because it was simple. You could see where the driver was. You didn't have to exchange funds or anything like that, right? And now, what did the cab companies do? They have scrambling to catch up, right?
Right. Awesome. So guys, get signed up. The link is here. If you're listening on the podcast, it is in the show notes. Take action, take advantage. If you happen to catch us after the early bird pricing, just deal with it. Sign up and get going, because this is still a super easy ticket to take advantage of and be able to get here, put the time aside, make the time for yourself so that you can get everything you need to be able to evaluate and get your plan in place for 2021 to execute really well. And like I said, there's a lot of experts out there, and there's a lot of people claiming to be experts. And I have not seen anybody who does as great a job as Donna does in walking through this in a very simple manner and being able to take all of the knowledge that she has and put it out in a very simple place for you to be able to execute on.
We want you to take your marketing from chaos to clarity.
Amen. Amen. What is one last thought? What's the most important thing you want people recognizing as a result of listening to you?
Well, that you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, how will you know if you get where you want to go? And how will you, make the execution easy?
There it is. Simple ways of thinking and simple ways of being. And if you follow her plan, then your life will be a whole lot simpler. Let's make that go.
And more profitable.
Profitable. Yes. Exactly. Your business will run smoother. You will have more business. You will have less concerns, and you'll have more profit.
So you want to make the web work for you instead of you working for the web.
She's got all of her perfect buzzwords and sayings, but they're just so true. Again, simple. Make this thing happen for you guys. I'm really encouraging you to take advantage of this. The only reason we're bringing this to you, we're not here to be somebody's billboard. We're here to help you grow your business and make more sales without you having to be a sales expert. And if you have the great positioning, a strategy that doesn't leave you siloed and confusing to the buyers, then more people show up wanting to buy, and you don't have to become a sales guru, because 80% of that sales already done before they find you or before they show up to meet you. And that's what we want for you. So take action on this. We'll see you there, because we are also supporting Donna's event. And so you will see you at that time, and you'll be able to help you make more decisions and get really good results as a result of your time being spent. So thank you, as always, for trusting us to be part of your success team. We look forward to seeing you at Digital Marketing Live. There's also links in the show notes where you can connect with Donna on her other places. And so even if you can't get to Digital Marketing Live, please reach out to her and see how she can help you and provide some great services and solutions for you.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Make More Sales podcast. If you like what you're hearing, you'll definitely want to check out our Make More Sales Facebook group, where you'll find more amazing content, including free sales training and live content happening every single week. So make sure to follow the link below to join. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show, and share it with your friends. That way, more people can learn how to make more sales without getting better at selling. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.